Vevor is a company, you'll see them for sale on Amazon and all over the place. And I reviewed one last year and made a few comments about it, and they've updated it and made a newer version of it, and they've got several versions anyway. The one that I have here is great. I mean, it works really good. You'll see the review I did last year. Well, let's see what happens with this one, since it's a brand new. Is the information for the actual company that makes these wheels, with the website address and all the rest of it, contact information, telephone numbers, so that you can actually order this wheel. These are the specifications. I found that in a little book they send you. So it is a 350 watt motor, and you can see the rest of the specs there as well. Okay, this is it. It's smaller than the one I reviewed before. I would say it's only about 2/3 of the size, but it comes with leg extenders to increase the height, because this is quite small. This is what I would consider to be put it on a table to throw on, not as tall as this table, but you could throw it at this height on a table. But the leg extenders, we'll see what they can do next. But it came with a bunch of trimming tools, which are very sharp. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 of these trimming tools included in the price. Carefully don't cut yourself, they were sharp. And they sent me a complete toolkit with the wheel. This is free with the wheel, included in the price. And you get a nice potter's apron, which I better not put on today because I'm going to ruin it if I do. It's got a separate plug-in cable here, which has a switch to turn it off on the actual. This is supposed to be a water protector, so this just plugs in and out. And then you press the red button down and it comes on, and you can turn it off at the switch here or turn it on. It comes with a forward and a backward switch, so you can make the wheel go forward or backwards. So if you're in Japan, you can throw the other way around. In Europe, we throw with it spinning anti-clockwise. That's right. So there's a lot of freebies included, and I looked online, and this wheel is actually sold on Amazon for about $240. I'd have to look again, but I think it's $240. I'll put the link below. Now using my hand, because that was one of the questions people wanted to know, how slow it and how easy it is to control the slow speed. There you go, really slow. So that's pretty good. That's using my hand, which I always find it harder to control the foot pedal with my hand. You see, it's speeding up now because I'm increasing. So there's that question answered for people. All right, what does the underside look like? So the belt is in there that drives this thing, and there's the motor sticking out at the bottom. It doesn't tell me what size motor that is. I'll have a look on the other side, maybe it's written on there somewhere. I can't tell. It's light, it's easy to move. Nope, I can't see the wattage of it on there, but you know, that's a nice little wheel for somebody who's a beginner potter. You know, don't have to get invested in it too much dollar-wise, but we'll see how it performs. And I'm going to donate this to a local auction on March the 2nd for Coastal Villages Community Radio, which the website is www.coastalvillages.ca. They're having a fundraiser, and I'm going to donate this wheel to that fundraiser, and I'll put that link in the video too, so you can go to that website, and I'm sure there'll be a place where you can call, and if you want to bid on this, you can actually bid on it. If you're from away, we'll have to ship it to you, and that would cost money in addition to the price of the wheel. But you'd have to pay for the shipping, probably. Although I think on Vevor you get free shipping. I think so, anyway. But anyway, but let's see how it works. Okay, the first thing I want to show you, if you buy one of these wheels, is you need to actually put back pins in it, because they don't come with back pins. It's not that hard to do. You need a couple of drill bits, or even one drill bit if you want to go for it immediately. But I use two, small and larger. and then you find a bat. This bat is a standard bat with the pinholes in it already. And so what I do is I set it up, put your finger on it, and then very carefully with the foot pedal, and get it going slow or whatever speed, but make sure it's totally centered on the wheel head. And that way you can make 2 holes in the metal wheel underneath, get a permanent marker, and hopefully it will mark the actual wheel. Yep, it did. Again, I'm getting caught by the metal grooves on the wheel head. You don't have to do this stage. There's the 2 holes that correspond with the actual bat. But if you're going to throw multiple pieces on the bats and you want to leave one on the bats, you need to do 2 holes. Okay, I have got my 2 holes measured through the bat, and basically feel underneath those where you put the holes, and make sure, very important, there are no ribs in the flat metal, because it's strengthened with some ribs that go across the wheel underneath, and I've got these where there are no ribs, so that when I drill I'm not going to hit extra thick metal underneath there. And I start with using a very thin drill that's way too small, and if you want to make sure you get this accurate, you can just kind of make an inner circle here, try and be as accurate here, where you're going to start drilling, because you want to get the hole in the right place. And then it shouldn't be too hard. Put your drill on there. Now I put my leg so that my drill bit wouldn't go down very far when it went through. But I didn't want to go all the way down and put a hole in the casing there. Make sure it's right in that inner circle. And we've got the 2 small holes in. That'll make it easier for the bigger drill bit. And I've got 3 of these just in case one's not very sharp. This may be a bit small anyway. And then using the bigger drill bit, it was sticking there. Usually, just before it goes through, you end up catching a bit of metal, so be ready for that. You can reverse out of that. Okay. Now I don't want these bits of metal in my studio getting into my clay. Sharp pieces of metal in my clay would cut my fingers when I'm throwing on the wheel. And then see whether if I drilled it big enough. Oh yes, perfect. That's the most favorite word in the English language for a potter. Perfect. You slot them in, and then you put the nut that's underneath, and just kind of twist until it catches. I like the wing nuts because you can hold them easier, than you don't need a wrench. There we go. And it's a good idea to use an Allen key to tighten that up. There you go. So now we have bat pins. Now, not all wheels come with bat pins drilled into them. So I know I bought Simon's wheel, and that didn't have bat pins in, so I had to drill bat pins in Simon's wheel. But it's easy to do. You just need these two little. I think you get these at the hardware store. I can't remember what they call them, but they have a Allen key hole in one side with a wing nut on the other side, and they have to be the size that will go like that over here. And let's see how accurate I was. Yeah, that's not too bad. So now we can just put bats on, take them off. And that makes it easy if you're throwing plates and platters to be able to put them on bats and lift them right off. Let's put the splash back on. And this splash pan is very easy to fit on. Just the two little studs that go and stick into the other. And that's it. And that's perfect, because this bat, and you could use taller bats, shorter bats, because once you've got this one, these you buy online, and they're a variety of prices. I made a bunch of these for $1 a piece. You can buy this style, which have the ribs underneath, and this one. These warped a little bit over time, but they just slot on. But I've got a bunch of those. And then I made these ones out of inch-thick particle board, and they've got a laminate on one side. They were just from kitchen counter places that were making bats, basically. And these will slot right on. And I like these because they raise the height. These ones raise the height of the throwing area, so you can actually not bend over as much. This wheel's not as low. I've raised the legs on it, but this is the highest it goes. But that's not too bad. I'm not bending too much. But if you find that's too low for you, you can always build a little table like I did for the other one in the other Vevor Wheel Revue. I made a little stage for it to sit on. Okay, so I have got 1 3/4 pounds. Not a problem. The motor isn't slowing down. 1 3/4 pounds is like a big plate. About a 9-inch plate. So that's centered. What can I make with a 1 3/4 pound bowl? I'm not treating this as a beginner how to throw video. I have plenty of those you can go to. This is to show you how this wheel works so you can feel confident if you want to purchase one. I don't make any money from the sale of the wheels. They don't give me a commission. They send me a basically a free piece of what their machinery, whatever it is, and I promise to review it for them, and then I can do with it what I please, which is why, as I say, I'm going to donate this wheel to the auction for Coastal Villages Community Radio on March 2nd fundraising auction. If you want to have a go at bidding on this, you can actually go to coastalvillages.ca and there'll be information there how you can actually make a bid on anything you want to bid on in the auction. And they post things on their Facebook page too that are going to be in the auction. So it's a non-profit radio station that runs basically without running any ads on. They just basically are doing fundraisers and voluntary donations from people to fund the radio station. It's very local. It shows all the local people in our area. Okay, you can see I got a nice ball out of that. Stretch it out a bit more with the rib. And the control of the pedal isn't bad. It starts a little fast, but you can slow it down. And after you get used to this pedal, let's see if I can get it going. Yeah, that's not too bad. So you can start it fairly slow, and you can read it. See this going very slow now. So basically, you can control that foot pedal. You just have to get used to it. Every wheel has a different foot pedal. They all work differently. They all have, different sensitivities. Whoa, lose my sponge on me. Okay, we have a nice ball there. I'm going to make a spiral in the center. Alright, so that's one. One thing I would do with the foot pedal is put some little rubber pads on the bottom of it so it doesn't slip. Because I've got a polished floor here, and the foot pedal is gradually moving away from my where I've got it positioned, so you can stop that if you put some little foam pads on the bottom of the foot pedal. You buy those at Staples. Any of the hardware stores sell that stuff as well. Okay, so we've got one ordered. Now I'm going to move up to 3.5 pounds. Make some big jumps in there. Make sure you dry your clay out before you put it down. I worked my way up to this. The maximum I did on the last wheel was 4 pounds. Oh yeah. This is 3.5 pounds and there is no problem. I can increase the speed while I'm centering. Of course, if you are a beginner, whenever you center, it's a good idea to bring the clay up. Don't let it form a hole in the center. Put your thumb over it. And this is what we call coning. And then pushing it back down. It kind of helps you to center. Okay, put a hole in it. So we had no problem centering. I'm opening up, putting a lot of pressure on. I'll increase the speed. It's still able to increase speed. I always do the little push to the center again. Compress the clay in the very center whenever I open up. It's quiet too. Not sure if you can hear. There's a little hum as the thing is going around, but I'll do my phone. Noise is important. If you're running a class and you have 6 or 8 of these wheels, and I'm telling you, for the price of one wheel, a Shimpo Whisper, which I have sort of right behind me, you can buy, what is that? About 8 of these. So if you're you're not loaded with money and you want to start a pottery class, you have a garage or something, or a shed or a barn, you can buy a bunch of these wheels and set up your pottery class without spending a fortune. This is a big bowl. Let's get it a bit bigger. I build a wall around my potter's wheels when I'm actually installing them in my studio place so that they don't spit clay all over the place. So I build like a little shield all the way around my wheels. There we go. That's a big wheel bowl. I have as you've seen, I have a retail store right next to my studio. And I would say 90% of what I sell in that store is made from clay that weighs this much clay or less. So this wheel would be able to produce 90% of what I make to sell. Potters know that to make a living, you have to make van loads of pots that are basically mugs. Mugs, tankards, small bowls, sugar and creamers, garlic keepers, cheese dishes, butter dishes. All that stuff is made generally with clay that's probably half this size. But this is 3.5 pounds of clay. So that's the size pretty much of what I throw on the other potters when they sent them. I think this is about a 13.5-inch wide bowl. Look how slow the wheels going around now. So that's got a very sensitive foot pedal that is able to get at a much slower speed. And it's got the torque to center this way to play easily. I'm thinking this wheel is really for students, high school students as well as college students who, obviously don't have much money and they want to have something they can put in their garage, their basement. It doesn't take up much space because this is actually quite a small wheel. But, I'm bending over a little bit more than I like to bend over. My wheel behind me is about, I would say, 2 to 3 inches taller than this. But I build a stage around underneath this little platform that you can sit it on that's about 3 inches high, or use a 2x4 of wood that's 3.5 inches, and then it'll be, that much, you'd be throwing like this and all that. So that's my only thing I think you need to do. Okay, this is the real test, and I didn't even do this on the bigger wheel.
So I would be surprised if this doesn't slow down a touch as I'm centering. Just sealing it to the wheel at the moment. Okay, so we got it sealed to the wheel. Let's do a little coning. Let's just about center it a little bit. I'm going to try speeding it up as I do this too. Full speed, still got full speed. So I'm able to center 5.5 pounds. This is the clay I would make a 16-inch platter out of, which I don't make very often. So let's do a big platter. I was going to make a bowl out of this, but I thought since I said platter, I should use the regular platter. Except I'm not on a big enough bat, so it'll be kind of like a really wide bowl. Whenever you do a flat form, run your fingers back to the center. You're trying to compress the clay . That's compress it the opposite way of when I pull it out, just it keeps the clay more compressed. And if you like throwing things, you can deliberately leave some of those in there if you're doing it. Let's see. Get it nice and wet there. Some water down. I'm going to slow the wheel down now. For platters, you tend to need a slightly lower speed. Pulling some clay off there. You always do when you throw bigger pieces. So dribble water right on the rim so it goes down inside and outside. Now I'm slowing it down because I need it to go relatively slowly. Not as slow as that. That's just it goes too slow if you want it to. That's a bit better. Trying to build up about a 3-inch high wall that I can lower down, and then I'd be able to get, because the bat is 12 inches wide, so if I've got 3 inches tall wall, when I open it up, I can actually make the platter that would be 16 to 18 inches, so when it dries it will be about 15 to 16 inches when it's finished. There we go. Compress the rim too, whenever you pull the wall up just like the bottom. You're trying to compress the clay so it doesn't crack easily or chip easily. Okay, let's get the water off. So I've got to clean this wheel up because this is a new wheel and it's going to be auctioned at the fundraiser. Village, coastalvillages.ca. And I have 16 coffee mugs in that auction for auction as well, with the logo of the radio station on them, which I hand carved and stamped the website address on the bottom of the mugs. And we also have some plates I donated. And my wife donated 2 of her hand-painted bowls. And I think I gave them a platter as well. So this is just to get rid of all the water that's on the piece. So you always drag a little bit of slip off when you're doing that. Okay, we've got a very soft, wide bowl. This would be great for a cactus garden, succulent garden. I can't take it down as flat because it will collapse. So I'm going to take it out a little bit and come back to it later. Yeah, look, people last year were asking a lot about succulent planters. And I can do them, and this would have been a good form to do that with. So I can't go much further than this because it's actually, the clay is too soft at the moment. But it's pretty wide already. And then whenever you do that, you can press the rim a little bit with a sponge, and that's it. So that is a 5.5 pound piece of clay, and no problem. So Vevor.com is the website address for these guys, and I'll post all that imagery, website, and other information at the end of this video.
Okay, this is another idea that you can actually do if you buy a wheel and let's say you want to be able to stand and throw. I built this one so I can stand and throw, and I also put a seat next to it so that I can actually sit down at the wheel if I get too tired standing. But this is one of my demo wheels by the door itself, and this is my leech wheel too. So I got both of these wheels set up so I can throw when I have time in the tourist season, which is not very often because we get busy. But that's just a 3-legged stand with a little side thing for the foot pedal, which I can put the foot pedal on the floor if I want to throw standing up. But there's an idea for you to do with this Vevor wheel. I also wanted to say an extremely huge thank you to Neslihan in Geneva, Switzerland, who just sent me some amazing coffee, and I'm going to enjoy this over the next few months. I'll try and have a cup every day. There's 4 different types. She has what looks like a beautiful little coffee shop in Geneva, and I sent her a bunch of tiny little espresso type mugs. This is not the style. She chose different ones that were a bit more orangey red, but these ones are still here at the studio. So thank you, Neslihan, for that wonderful gift, and a beautiful, I call it a scarf, but she says it's a tea towel, but this was made in Turkey too. So thank you very much. Thank you, Neslihan.
Thank you.
Wow.
Wow.
Really good coffee. Never go back to instant.
It's really good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just did a major 2-day clean of my studio and rearranged things, so it hasn't been this clean in a long time. I repainted all my cupboards and put my stencil shelf up there, so I've organized there as well. So this has just been repainted. This is where I store odd things. And then this area is now set up for the summer because, you know, COVID is here to stay. And I've had it 3 times now, survived, but it's a major blow each time you have to close your shop. So financially, it hits you hard. It's not fun either when you can't breathe properly. And I just repainted those pieces. So those 2 nice new framed pieces have been in the studio. I cleaned them all up and they could be sold now. They look really good. But this area is being used as a store area, basically, just to store pieces ready to go over to the gallery next door. It looks really nice. It's just that nothing's priced in that section. And I got my plants left over from last year. I'm still keeping them going, although they're struggling. But those are petunias. Haven't flowered for a long time. There's the Vevor wheel, just arrived. And I opened up this area so we can now get into my glaze area from the back side. So there's 2 entrances to my glaze area, which was kind of nice because now I've done that, I have access to my side door, which I haven't had access to this door for a long time. I stored all my frames there. But now I can get onto my deck from this side, sneak up on the seagulls. But that's a nice fresh breeze, especially in the summer when I can open the doors. But that was a nice, you know, get onto my deck from 2 different directions. So I just repainted all my tables. I moved the table that was at the side door over to here, and I just repainted that. So all my glaze ready to pour water in is underneath there. I always mix my glazes in the summer and store them over the winter. But that's a nice table, and I've got my photography set up there. And there's some more glazes under there, all waiting till I mix them up. And my wheels are the same here. I figured my wheels are always covered in clay. So it's clean underneath. I cleaned the floors underneath, but you know, cleaning a wheel every time you use it, it's kind of pointless when you use it every day. But the studio feels really good again now.